Hey guys, so this is basically what you're presented in Keyshot when you open it, and I will take you through everything from importing to the setup of everything. Let me open some stuff here. Alright. So here's all the things we had exported from before, and I just want to bring something in there, give you kind of a reference of size for now. And then I have a pre-set up scene. This basically only has my key lights set up in it, so I don't have to import them in. Alright, so this is the body. This is what it comes in as. Oops. And Keyshots is basically, it renders real time, or it gets pretty pixelated, and the longer you let it sit there, the better the image becomes. You can also take screenshots after, but what I like to do is I render, but I hear a lot of artists actually use the screenshot, and I have tried to do animations in here before, and they've literally taken a week or two with the time I had given at the time. So your basic setup is your projects here. This is where everything is imported into, and materials for that item. I can break down the other stuff later. So in the library is where you have all of your stuff, your environments, your materials. So this is the standard environment. I believe it's this one, startup. But you can use any of these. They're just different lighting situations. Some of them are good for reflections, like if you have something very reflective, you might load this guy in here. I don't have a reflective material on right now, so it's not going to really do anything. Generally what I like to do, I either use the startup. I'm pretty basic in Keyshot. I either use the startup, and then I just go to environments over here and then just use a color, and then, you know, depending on what my character's color is, I go with this. And then you can turn on ground shadows and ground reflections. It's kind of far away here. Let me show you. And the reason I decimated a lot of stuff in the last video is because it makes it harder to move around in here, and it just chugs it quite a bit if you don't. So here you can see the reflections, and yeah, I'm gonna get everything set up in the scene I have already. So basically what I have set up here in the scene is, I have them hidden right now, but so basically oops. Alright, so here's my 3-point lighting. I have it set up kind of the way I want. I might change it a little bit depending. And I just have it not visible to camera in the final, because you don't want to see it most times. So I have a fill front and a rim, that's what I'm calling it. Or a fill, a backlight, and a main light or something. This is pretty standard setup for a studio setting. It's not very realistic, but for our purposes, that's what I'm wanting to use. You can go crazy. You don't even have to use lights And basically all it is I imported, I set it up, like I set my character up in Maya or ZBrush. I actually did this one in ZBrush. I set my character up, and then I just put flat planes in there. And what gives it the light, and I'll show you over here, you can see the names right here. These are the materials I applied. So Keyshot's pretty cool, because under materials and lights, you have all these different lighting setups. And I believe I used neutral, or not. Okay, sorry. I believe I used a cool light, probably, yeah, neutral light, and then, this is what's confusing me, sorry. Neutral light, cool light, and then a warm light. And it just all depends what you want, but I kind of want my warm to be on the front and the cool to be on the side, and obviously rim to be in the back. I might have to adjust this a little bit. But all you do is you select like the light, you grab this one, and you just drop it on there. So that is that. Let me turn these back off because I really don't need to see them. Oops. That's not the one. There we go. Alright, so let's import this stuff. Oh, and spacebar, by the way, kind of like makes it full view. I do have cameras set up, but these are not going to be right, so I'm going to reset them up so that the screenshots I took earlier, I want basically this one, this shot, and this shot. So I'm going to set cameras up according to that. So I think one of them won't be right because I'll have to change the lighting, but we can still set up the shot and then change the lighting later. So I think you can drag and drop, but I'll just go up to import, wait for it to load. Okay, so let's just go in order. And in this case, I believe I want millimeters. Alright, now everything's in here. It's, I believe. Looks like it. So everything's a little low, so I'm going to move it up higher, other than the lights. I like to use the move tool, but you can also move it based on numbers and stuff. I'm not sure if I want the reflection or not want the reflection. I don't know. So before we get anything set up, let's just get a camera shot or two set up. Alright, so I'm going to put this on the other side and kind of get an idea of where I wanted it. I think when you render, it renders a little tighter than what is actually, this is throwing me off. Hold on. It renders a little tighter than what you can actually see in this full view. You can either lock your ratio, or you can just basically use the screen. I always just use the screen. Okay. powerful or not. Or neutral. So yeah, Keyshot tries to, it like does this like quick preview render just to make things a little faster, because things do start to get bogged down in here sometimes. So it just keeps the frustration off a little bit. Alternatively, I can turn off his reflectiveness. I just like reflections, but I think I might turn it off. So that is under environments and ground reflections. So ultimately, he's going to be masked anyways when I render. I'm going to render out some mask, I think. Alright, so let's set this up. Is this camera, so front, and then we're going to save it. So the other thing you should know is you have your field of view here and focal length. All depends again what you're going for. I like on certain presentations to keep it around 60, maybe 70. Because this is pretty standard here. So let's go for 70. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Field of view, let's go for 60. Yes. That's what I was meaning. Okay. That might be an issue. What I'm looking at is silhouette again. I want this to kind of curve with the hand, but I also want to be able to see all these. And there's a very, very small hole there, and I want that to be a little bit bigger. So I might back this off just a tad bit. Yeah, it's not quite what I want. It's close. So I don't want the reason I'm messing with the field of view, I don't want the image completely flat. I guess if I was doing a portrait or something, I might, or a bust. But generally I like some depth if it's not too crazy. Alright, I think that's pretty good there. So again, I'm going to have to save this because I've moved the camera and I've adjusted things. Later on, I'll show you the depth of field. I don't get too much into the effects because I do all that in After Effects, or not After Effects. I do all that in Photoshop. So I'll get into that in a minute. Alright, so the lighting. Let's set up a different material. You can set up special materials for each thing, and then in a different tutorial, I might teach like setting up materials, doing different render passes, then bringing it to Photoshop and masking things out and bringing things forward and pushing things back, and then having maybe UVs at that time. But in this case, I just want to present it with like a gray probably material. I might have different levels of specularness on them or reflectivity, but I will show you. So like I don't know. I don't know what a good one is. Let's just go with old and ultra scratched for the guard, for example. So you put that on there, and then you put this on the blade, wherever your blade is. Didn't work. Darn it. Okay. So you could go about it this way, and then like I said, you could go into the materials of this blade. This is what I'd maybe do. And I do, so these all have textures and bumps, or a lot of them do, and they have UV setup, so when you do bring in UVs, or if you use Keyshot's bridge, which I'm not using, I think it brings in things in properly. I don't know, I haven't had any experience with it. But so I would say, like, you do a render pass maybe at this, and then you change the roughness. And do a render pass here. And then maybe do a mid one or something. And then just do that with every material that you're wanting a specific look to. In this case, I don't want to do any of that. So I will. And then you just, like I said, you just bring it to Photoshop and you paint all your textures on and scratches on and everything you want. And or alternatively, you could have done it all in ZBrush, and then when you bring the textures in, just modify them a little bit. So I like this one, but I don't like. Hold on, will that? I don't like the color on it, so we'll have to change that. And then some of these we're going to change a little bit also after the fact. So basically these are each all their own. If you come in here, you'll see. Oops. I'm going to set up the other shot real quick. So this is the other one I'm kind of going for. Seeing how I really don't want this guy to have a face, I think I'm going to focus more down lower if I can, with getting some of the hat in, or helmet, sorry. Definitely have to put some depth of field on this one. Alright, let's say this is close-up front, or close-up armor. Save it. So now that we have two cameras, we can go back and forth. The other one, oops. The other one is going to have an issue because of, and yeah, everything's a little blown out right now. Well, that's definitely the next thing we're coming to. But we're going to have to change the lights around for this one specifically. I did a test earlier. Here was the test. And that's how I know it was too bright, because still the colors on it were like super light. Didn't like that. So this one's a little bit more to show off just the sword. Oops, I want the handle, or the guard thing in there too. Or most of it. Okay, so that's sword. So now we've got all three, and then we got the free camera just to drive around, I guess, in this case. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is lighting. So let's turn off. Actually, that's not right. So let's go change all these to 20 on this grayscale. Oops. And I kind of want the materials broken up. They don't need to be broken up as much as I have them, but that's alright. And that's why I brought things together in their actual perspective materials. So like, you know, armor, cloth, skin, those are all separate fabric. Yeah, really, you could just spend hours just tweaking in here in Keyshot. So, trying to keep this as quick as possible because it's just a basic overview, and getting my renders out is what I'm trying to do. Alright, so now what we're going to do, turn off the lights, turn off the environment light. So we just have the silhouette. So I like to do the lights one at a time and adjust them how I kind of want them to be lit up. These are a bit bright, and I think this one needs to move too. Something more like that. I think I kind of want a lower light. No, just be a little bit different in this setup. It's maybe a little too much. Oops. No. Let's retry that. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when you start messing with the lights, it like messes up the pivot points or something. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. I'm not really a Keyshot pro here. I've only been using it a couple months. Or you're not working. Fuck if I know what's going on. Alright, so anyways, this is kind of close to one I want, I guess. We'll go with this for now. Still not happy. Alright, we'll do that. So what I tend to do is I adjust each light on their own, and then put them together and see what I get. So maybe I want to move this one a little bit too. What's going on here? There we go. Let's check out the. It's too bright. I don't like the position on the front light, so I want to kind of move it over so more of the shadow comes in, and then I want the blue to fill that shadow, basically, or the cool light to fill that shadow. Oops. So another thing that kind of sucks is kind of directly onto that blade. I don't quite want it directly on to the front of the blade. Let's check this out. Yeah, I can live with this. Looks pretty much the same. Alternatively, I can move the cool light a little bit. Oops. Just a little bit. Oops. Kind of. I don't like this shadow right here, so let me move this again. Yeah. It's a little bit more like that. So let's check this out now. So, okay. So I'm gonna like kind of darken out the inside of this because the whole idea is I don't like want there to be a face. It's a little more weird when you can't see a face, in my opinion, and that's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so here we go. We got the rim light, the front or the key, and then the fill. You might want to turn the fill down a little bit. Like 1/8. Let me turn the. So when I bring in the environment light, you'll see here it like it's kind of the AO of everything, or it just or the GI, I mean. So it kind of is filling in all the bounce and stuff a little bit. I think there are rendering. You can do more bounce lighting, but I'm not sure. Again, not a Keyshot professional. Alright, let's go with this for now. Who knows, might change my mind later. Alright, so now that we have this, we can actually bring in the background lighting a bit. So something that might help me is a closer up view so I can tell what light's picking up where. And this stuff will look a lot better once you like render it out, or if I let it sit here for like 20 minutes. Like even now you can start to see some of this stuff showing up here. I'm more worried about what shows up on the armor. And once I switch off the materials a little bit and play with those, that'll help. Yeah, I'm already starting to see some stuff, so this might be pretty good. Where's it at? I want to go a little higher. Alright, let's look at the materials a little bit. So what I sometimes do, I could just leave it this way and call it a day. Or I could come up into here and get a little bit more options for things. So, it's kind of hard sometimes because you have to let things sit to really actually see where it's at. It's a little frustrating. And I could always lighten up the specular highlights a bit. I mean, I can blow them out too, but I don't know. Let's blow it out for now. See where we want this more shiny material to sit. So the more to the right, the shinier it gets as far as reflective index goes. So I'm going to go this way. I just want a little variation between cloth, skin, and metals and leathers even. Let's let this sit for a minute and see. You can also look up the refraction index on different objects and get the exact numbers. I think there's stuff out there online that will tell you that. Alright, let's go with that for now. So we want the blade to be similar to that. Oops. So 0.02 and 1.1. Oops. Yeah, it's too bright. You can always just, I think, might do that. But that is not what I want. Yeah. Kind of watching this little ball up here and semi looking at what's going on. But until it like renders out better, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. So let's see if we can't kind of find a preset for leather. See what it is. Tone it down a bit. I don't know if I'm going to mess with this one too much. let's see. Did I not? Hold on. I'm missing something. So I did these little fiber meshes. Are they not in there? It's not in there. I don't think you see it, but the fact that it's there makes me feel better. so, so in the rare chance you'll see that, it's there. Alright, so here is something we're going to have to do. So this number on Y, copy that, go over to the fiber, and give it the same input. Boom. There we go. You can make these kind of semi-translucent materials. You can also just not. It's really up to you. If you're going to do render passes and everything, I'd do a color, I'd do translucent material, I'd overlay those over, or overlay them and then mask parts out. If you're doing close-ups, obviously you would see it, versus not being a close-up. Makes it harder to see. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see what the... So there's the translucent material. Come on. There you go. Yeah, but I think you can see them right there. Yeah, if you let it sit a little bit, you'll be able to see them. I'm trying to get an idea of this leather, metal, and all these other materials. Because I think the armor's shinier than I want. So is the leather. To give you an idea, I think 1.3 or somewhere around there, I'm probably wrong, but somewhere around there, that would be like eyeball reflectiveness or refractiveness, or like the retina or something. So that kind of gives you an idea, and under that is a little shiny. Yeah, I just kind of wanted these like fiber meshes in here, make them look a little bit, old and kind of nasty looking a little bit. Let this sit for a minute. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Let's see this. I think I saw fabric material or velvet. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, let's go with that. Whoa. Turn that backscattering down. I don't know if I want the velvet look. Yeah, maybe we'll keep it and we'll change some colors on some things or some grayscale values on some things. I don't know. Hmm. Let's check this one out. Actually, there we go. I think the translucent materials take a lot longer to kind of render too, so it's best to save them to later. Or I know they do. So I think basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up and render my shots, and then on this sword close-up, I'm going to rotate the lights. Or no, I'm going to rotate the body, because that'd be easier. And then reset up the camera shot to be something similar to this. So yeah, I believe that's what the plan is. So I'm going to do a little bit more tweaking, and then I'll show the render, how I render. That's what I kept trying to adjust. Oops. Alright, so if I was going to render this, I'd have my full screen. I'd go up to render, and hit render. You can also do set up more than one thing. But what I would do here is you want to make sure your different passes are on that you want. I definitely want a clown pass, which is like a mask, and then a depth pass. There's different ways to use that, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Also, I turn the shadows up. Some things say don't, some things say do. So I just have. I tweak with these a little bit, not too much. And then I give it a spot to go, and then I give it a name. And have the size a little big, I guess, but that's alright. And you can dedicate how many cores you want to this. I only have 6 rolling, but if you got things networked, I think you do a whole lot more too. Something I forgot to show you. So under camera, actually environment, so you can have reflections on, which I might just leave on, but you're not going to see them. I don't use this a whole lot. Definitely do ground shadows most of the time. Although we might add our own in later, after we set everything up in Photoshop. Under camera, so a lot of times I use the depth of field. So like right now, it's just it's not the right point. So So I pick this point of focus, and then you can kind of tell it where you want it to focus. And then say done. And then this f-stop is where you adjust. So the less you do, the more depth there is, or the more depth of field there is. The shorter the f-stop. I might not want a whole lot on this shot. A little bit's okay. You kind of gotta let it render out to see where it's at. But something where there's a little bit more of a closer up shot, so the next two shots I might do have more depth involved in the shot. Or depth of field, sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to set those up, I'm going to render them out, and then I'll see you guys in Photoshop.